Hello, English learners. Welcome back to Talk English Now. I'm Sarah, and today we're going to dive into the powerful strategies and natural practices that will help you push your English fluency to an advanced level. This is your 1-hour masterclass in becoming confident, natural, and expressive in English. So let's begin right away. When we talk about advanced fluency, we're really talking about the ability to use English as if it were a natural extension of your thoughts, not stopping to translate, not pausing to search for every word, but allowing the language to flow smoothly. Think of it like music. When you first learn an instrument, every note feels difficult. You press one string at a time or play one key at a time, and you're very aware of the mechanics. But when you reach an advanced stage, you don't think about the mechanics anymore. You just play. English fluency works the same way. You must train your brain to move past translation and into natural flow. To begin this journey, let's focus on rhythm. English, like all languages, has a rhythm, a pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables. Advanced speakers don't just know vocabulary, they feel this rhythm. Listen carefully to how I say this sentence. I didn't think it would be so difficult. Notice how some words stretch and some words reduce. The didn't becomes softer, think becomes stronger, so stretches slightly, difficult lands heavily. This natural stress pattern is what gives English its musicality. Practicing rhythm is just as important as learning words. Try repeating that sentence after me, slowly at first, then more naturally. I didn't think it would be so difficult. Again, let it flow. I didn't think it would be so difficult. This is fluency training at its core. Another important step in advanced fluency is mastering connectors. These are the little words and phrases that hold your thoughts together. For example, words like however, on the other hand, in fact, to be honest, nevertheless, after all. These connectors give structure to your thoughts, and they allow you to sound natural in longer conversations. Imagine someone asks your opinion about a difficult book. If you just say, "Yes, it was hard," you sound basic. But if you say, "Yes, it was hard. However, I found the challenge exciting because it made me think in new ways," suddenly your English feels advanced. The secret is not just vocabulary. It's the ability to connect ideas smoothly with transitions. Now let's do a quick practice together. I'll give you a simple thought, and then I'll expand it with connectors. Listen first. I was tired. That's basic. Now, advanced. I was tired. Nevertheless, I continued working because I wanted to finish. Hear how the connector, nevertheless, adds maturity and flow. Let's try another. She's intelligent. Basic. Now, advanced. She's intelligent. In fact, she often surprises me with her creative solutions. Repeat after me. She's intelligent. In fact, she often surprises me with her creative solutions. You see how connectors transform simple ideas into advanced expression. A common struggle for learners at this stage is vocabulary depth. You already know thousands of words, But advanced fluency requires shades of meaning. For instance, think about the word big. Basic English learners always say big, but advanced speakers use enormous, massive, huge, gigantic, colossal, immense, depending on the context. Each carries a slightly different feeling. Let's practice with sentences. Repeat. The task felt enormous. Now, the building was massive. Next, the crowd was huge. You hear the difference. The meaning is similar, but the nuance changes depending on the situation. Advanced speakers choose the earwords with precision. Another tool for fluency is paraphrasing. Native speakers constantly restate ideas in different ways, not just to show variety, but to clarify meaning. If you can explain one idea in 3 different ways, you have achieved advanced fluency. For example, let's take the idea, I don't agree. You can also say, I'm not sure I see it that way. Or, I think I'd have to disagree with that. Or, that's an interesting point, but I have a different perspective. Each version communicates the same core message, but with subtle changes in tone and politeness. Paraphrasing shows maturity, and it allows you to adapt to different situations, formal, informal, polite, direct. To improve paraphrasing, try this exercise. Pick a simple phrase, like, I'm hungry. Now challenge yourself to say it differently 3 or 4 times. For example, I could eat something right now. I'm starving. I feel like grabbing a bite. I wouldn't mind having lunch soon. Each version paints the same picture, but in a different style. When you train your brain to switch expressions quickly, you start thinking like a fluent speaker, not a translator. Let's talk about hesitation. Hesitation is natural, but too much of it breaks fluency. Beginners hesitate because they are searching for words, but advanced learners can reduce hesitation by mastering filler strategies. In English, natural fillers include, well, actually, you know, to be honest, let me think, I mean, so, anyway. These small phrases keep the rhythm alive while your brain prepares the next thought. For example, instead of silent pauses, you can say, well, to be honest, I think the real issue is time. Or, actually, that reminds me of something I read yesterday. Notice how the filler gives you extra seconds without sounding awkward. This is a powerful fluency skill. Let's practice. Imagine someone asks you, what do you think about studying abroad? If you need time to think, don't stay silent. Say, well, to be honest, I think it's an incredible opportunity. Or, actually, that's something I've been considering myself. These fillers are not mistakes. They are part of natural speech. Advanced fluency means controlling them, not eliminating them. Try repeating after me with confidence. Well, to be honest, I think it's an incredible opportunity. Again, actually, that's something I've been considering myself. With practice, these phrases will become second nature. Another critical feature of advanced fluency is storytelling. Humans are natural storytellers, and in English, the ability to tell a story clearly and engagingly is a sign of high proficiency. When you tell a story, focus on 3 elements: sequence, detail, and emotion. Sequence means making the order clear with phrases like first, then, after that, finally. Detail means adding descriptions like, the weather was freezing. The cafe smelled of fresh coffee. She looked nervous but excited. Emotion means sharing how you or others felt. I was thrilled. He was disappointed. We were surprised. Let's try a short story together. Listen first. Yesterday, I went to the park. I met my friend. We talked. Then I came home. That's too basic. Let's transform it into advanced storytelling. Yesterday afternoon, I decided to take a walk in the park because the sun was shining beautifully. When I arrived, I unexpectedly met my friend at the entrance. We hadn't seen each other in months, so we immediately sat down on a bench and started talking. After about an hour, I finally returned home, feeling refreshed and happy. Notice the difference. The story now has flow, imagery, and emotion. Practice retelling your own daily events with more detail, sequence, and emotion. This simple habit can push our fluency to the next level. So far, we've discussed rhythm, connectors, vocabulary depth, paraphrasing, fillers, and storytelling. Each of these skills plays a role in advanced fluency. But fluency is not just technical, it's also psychological. Confidence is half of fluency. If you hesitate because you doubt yourself, your English suffers. One way to build confidence is through shadowing. Shadowing means listening to natural English and repeating at the same time, imitating rhythm, intonation, and expression. This technique trains your mouth and brain to move together. You stop worrying about grammar and start feeling the music of the language. Shadowing daily, even for 5 minutes, can rapidly accelerate your fluency. Let's do a mini shadowing session. I'll read a short paragraph, and you repeat with me, trying to match rhythm and tone. Listen first. English fluency is not about perfection. It's about connection. When you speak, focus on meaning, not mistakes. Now, repeat with me as close as you can. English fluency is not about perfection. It's about connection. When you speak, focus on meaning, not mistakes. Excellent. That's the essence of fluency. We're just getting started, and already you can see how these techniques fit together. Rhythm builds natural sound. Connectors give structure. Vocabulary adds precision. Paraphrasing creates flexibility. Fillers keep the flow. Storytelling makes you engaging. And shadowing strengthens rhythm and confidence. Each one is a building block, and together they form advanced fluency. At this stage of your journey, it's time to think about fluency not only as words and grammar, but as performance. Every time you speak English, you are performing in some way. You are expressing your thoughts, your feelings, and your personality through this second language. Advanced learners understand that speaking is not just about accuracy, it's about presence. How you deliver your message matters as much as the words themselves. One of the most effective ways to improve presence in English is to work on intonation. Intonation is the rise and fall of your voice. It tells the listener whether you are making a statement, asking a question, expressing surprise, or showing doubt. For example, say the sentence, "You're going to the meeting." If your voice falls at the end, it's a statement, "You're going to the meeting." If your voice rises, it becomes a question, "You're going to the meeting?" And if you stretch and emphasize the middle, It can sound like surprise. You're going to the meeting? Advanced fluency means controlling these subtle shifts to express emotion and attitude naturally. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. She's late. Now say it as a neutral statement. She's late. Say it as a question. She's late? Say it with shock. She's late? Notice how the same words completely change depending on intonation. This is why intonation is essential. Without it, your English may sound flat, even if your grammar is correct. With it, you sound alive, confident, and expressive. Another advanced skill is flexibility in conversation. Real conversations don't follow scripts. People interrupt, change topics, jump back and forth. If you can adapt smoothly, you show fluency. One strategy is to learn natural phrases for shifting topics. For example, by the way, speaking of that reminds me, on a different note, let's go back to what you said earlier. Imagine someone is talking about food, and you suddenly remember a related story. Instead of jumping awkwardly, you can say, "Speaking of food, I tried a new restaurant last week." This sounds smooth, natural, and advanced. Flexibility also means reacting quickly to what others say. If someone makes a joke, you don't pause for 10 seconds to think of a response. You give a natural reaction. "That's hilarious." "You're kidding." "Seriously?" These short, natural responses keep the conversation alive. Practice them until they come instantly. This speed of reaction is part of what makes you sound fluent. At this point, let's pause and think about practice habits. You cannot gain fluency by studying rules alone. You must practice actively, preferably with your voice. One powerful method is daily self-talk. Describe your actions out loud in English as you go through your day. For example, in the morning, "I'm brushing my teeth, I'm making coffee, I'm checking my messages." This may feel simple, but it trains your brain to use English in real time without translating. To push it to an advanced level, expand with detail and feeling. "I'm brushing my teeth because I feel a little sleepy and I want to wake up. The coffee smells strong this morning and I'm looking forward to drinking it." The more you describe your reality, the faster your fluency grows. Another essential practice tool is recording yourself. Speak about a topic for 2 or 3 minutes, then listen back. You'll notice patterns, hesitation points, and repeated phrases. You'll hear which connectors you need more of and which sounds you need to improve. Professional actors, politicians, and even native speakers use recording as a tool to improve delivery. If you do this daily, you'll quickly build awareness and control over your English performance. Now, let's explore advanced expressions of opinion. At basic levels, students say things like, "I think" or "I like." But at advanced levels, you need a wider range to express shades of opinion. Instead of "I think," you can say, "From my perspective, as far as I'm concerned, it seems to me. I'd argue that," or "in my view." Instead of just saying "I like," you can say, "I'm really into," "I'm a huge fan of," "I absolutely love," or "I have a soft spot for." These expressions make your English more colorful and natural. Let's practice. Repeat after me. From my perspective, learning English daily is the fastest way to improve. Again, as far as I'm concerned, practice is more important than theory. And one more. I'd argue that speaking every day builds confidence. Notice how each version feels slightly different. The more options you have, the more fluent and flexible you become. Advanced fluency also requires emotional vocabulary. Instead of saying only happy or sad, learn words like thrilled, delighted, ecstatic, miserable, devastated, frustrated, overwhelmed. Imagine telling a friend, "I was happy." That's fine, but basic. If you say, "I was thrilled," the listener feels your excitement more strongly. If you say, "I was devastated," the emotion is deeper than just sad. Repeat with me, "I was thrilled to hear the news." Again, "She was devastated when she lost her job." One more, "He felt overwhelmed by the amount of work." Each sentence builds emotional color into your fluency. And remember, fluency isn't only about long speeches, it's also about listening. Advanced speakers are strong listeners. They don't just wait for their turn to talk. They show engagement with phrases like, "I see what you mean. That's a good point. I never thought of it that way. Interesting. Tell me more." These short responses prove that you are actively involved in the conversation. Practice them until they feel natural. For example, if I say, "I think technology makes life more complicated," you can reply, "That's an interesting perspective. Tell me more." This shows fluency, empathy, and social skill all at once. Now, let's step into a practical fluency drill. I'll give you a topic, and you'll speak out loud, using everything we've discussed. The topic is the benefits of reading books in English. Start with a clear opening. In my view, reading books in English has many advantages. Then expand with connectors. For example, it helps you learn new vocabulary. In fact, it also trains you to see grammar in context. Add emotion. Personally, I feel excited every time I finish a novel in English, because it feels like a real achievement. And end with reflection. Overall, I'd argue that reading in English is one of the best ways to grow as a learner. Try speaking this aloud right now. Pause this video if you need to. The more you practice building arguments in real time, the more fluent you become. And here's a friendly reminder. If you're enjoying this lesson, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more daily English practice. Your support helps us keep creating these lessons, and it gives you access to new learning every single day. Let's continue. Another important dimension of advanced fluency is humor. Humor is cultural, but learning how to play with words, tell a light joke, or use a witty response makes you sound natural and confident. You don't need to be a comedian. Simple humor, like puns, exaggeration, or playful remarks, is enough. For example, if someone says, "The meeting was too long," you can reply, "Yes, I thought it would never end. I was ready to grow old in that room." This exaggeration creates humor and shows fluency. Or if someone asks, "Do you cook?" you could smile and say, "Well, I cook, but even my smoke alarm doesn't approve. Humor like this is friendly, natural, and shows strong control of the language. Of course, humor should always match the situation. At work, you may need light, polite humor. With friends, you can be more relaxed. The key is to listen to others and respond appropriately. This flexibility makes you sound not only fluent, but socially intelligent. Finally, let's touch on cultural fluency. Speaking advanced English isn't only about grammar and vocabulary. It's also about knowing how the language lives in its culture. For instance, in some cultures, it's normal to be very direct. In English, especially in Western countries, people often soften their language to be polite. Instead of saying, "You're wrong," a native speaker might say, "I'm not sure I agree with that." Instead of saying, "Give me that," they might say, "Could you pass me that, please?" These small cultural choices make a huge difference. Fluency is not just what you say, but how it feels to the listener. So, to build advanced fluency, expose yourself not only to textbooks, but to films, podcasts, news, and conversations with real speakers. Listen to how people soften, exaggerate, express emotion, or connect ideas. Then practice bringing those same techniques into your own speech. Language is alive, and the more you absorb it in its natural form, the faster your fluency will grow. That brings us to an important truth. Fluency is not perfection. Even advanced speakers make mistakes. The difference is, they don't let mistakes stop the flow. If you say something incorrectly, just keep going or rephrase. For example, if you say, he goes, that's fine. Fluency is about confidence and flow, not about being flawless. Remember, connection is more important than perfection. One of the most powerful habits for advanced fluency is learning how to extend conversations. Beginners often stop after giving one short answer, but advanced speakers know how to add layers. Imagine someone asks you, "How was your weekend?" A basic answer might be, "It was good." That ends the conversation. But an advanced answer continues the flow. "It was good. I spent some time with friends, and we tried a new cafe downtown. The coffee was great, and we ended up talking for hours about travel plans." This way, you give detail, emotion, and an invitation for the listener to respond. The more you practice extending your answers, the more fluent you become. Another key area is idiomatic expressions. Idioms are the heart of advanced English because they add color and authenticity to your speech. For example, instead of saying, "I'm very tired," you can say, "I'm worn out," or "I'm running on empty." Instead of saying, "It's very easy," you can say, "It's a piece of cake." Idioms make your English sound natural and closer to what native speakers use every day. But remember, idioms must be learned in context. Don't just memorize lists, practice them inside full sentences so they feel natural. Let's try together. Repeat after me. After the long day, I was completely worn out. Another one. The exam was a piece of cake. And one more. By the end of the week, I was running on empty. Each idiom paints a vivid picture, which makes your English engaging. Advanced speakers also master subtle expressions of agreement and disagreement. Instead of just saying yes or no, you can say absolutely, exactly, that's true, I see your point, I'm afraid I don't quite agree, or I see it differently. These phrases show emotional intelligence and allow you to participate in discussions politely and effectively. For example, in a business meeting, if you disagree, you don't need to sound rude. You can say, "That's an interesting idea, but I see it differently," or, "I understand your perspective, though I'd argue for another approach." Practice these phrases until they feel automatic. Fluency is about options, and the more options you have, the smoother you sound. Now let's talk about advanced listening as part of fluency. Listening is often ignored, but true fluency means responding naturally to what you hear. Native speakers use fast, reduced forms like gonna instead of going to, or wanna instead of want to. If you only study formal English, these forms can confuse you, but if you train your ear to catch them, you'll follow real conversations with ease. Let's practice. Listen, I'm gonna head out. Repeat, I'm gonna head out. That simply means I'm going to leave. Next, do you want to grab lunch? Repeat, do you want to grab lunch? That means, do you want to have lunch? These reductions are everywhere, and if you can recognize them instantly, you'll never feel lost in fast conversations. Another part of advanced listening is prediction. Fluent speakers don't listen to every word separately. They predict the meaning as they go. For example, if someone says, "After work, I usually..." Your brain expects words like go home, meet friends, cook dinner. This prediction helps you keep up, even if you miss a word. You can train this by listening to podcasts or movies and pausing before the next word. Try to guess what will come. Over time, your brain learns to anticipate naturally, and you'll feel like you're flowing with the conversation instead of chasing after it. At this point, let's do another fluency drill. I'll give you a short dialogue, and you can repeat it with me, focusing on rhythm, connectors, and natural flow. Ready? Me. Hey, how's it going? You. Pretty good, thanks. I've been working on a new project, so things are busy but exciting. Me. That sounds interesting. What kind of project is it? You. It's a design project. In fact, it's one of the most challenging but rewarding tasks I've had recently. Excellent. That's how you combine simple structure with advanced connectors to sound natural. Another fluency strategy is to practice expansion drills. Start with one idea, then add detail step by step. For example, begin with, I went shopping. Expand. I went shopping yesterday. Expand more. I went shopping yesterday because I needed a new jacket. Expand further. I went shopping yesterday because I needed a new jacket and I found one that was on sale. Finally, I went shopping yesterday because I needed a new jacket and I found one that was on sale, which made me really happy since I had been saving money for weeks. This drill trains you to develop thoughts fully instead of stopping too soon. Try it with your own ideas, and you'll notice your fluency stretching further every time. Let's also explore register, which means adjusting your language depending on the situation. Advanced fluency means you can switch from casual to formal English depending on context. For instance, with a friend, you might say, "Hey, want to hang out later?" But in a formal situation, you might say, "Would you like to meet later this afternoon?" Both mean the same, but the tone is different. Being able to choose the right register makes you adaptable and shows cultural awareness. Practice by taking one phrase and expressing it in both casual and formal styles. For example, casual, "I'm beat." Formal, "I'm really exhausted after a long day." Try repeating both styles. This flexibility is a sign of advanced mastery. Another advanced concept is collocation. Collocation means words that naturally go together. For example, we say make a decision, not do a decision. We say heavy rain, not strong rain. Learning collocations makes your speech natural and effortless. Repeat with me. Make progress. Catch a cold. Strong coffee. Fast food. Pay attention. The more collocations you master, the less you'll hesitate, because the combinations will come to you as one unit. Advanced speakers don't build every sentence word by word. They pull ready-made chunks from memory. Collocations are those chunks. Now let's shift to the power of storytelling again, but at a higher level, using suspense and contrast. Advanced speakers know how to hold attention by building curiosity. For example, instead of saying, "I missed my train, so I was late," you can say, "Everything was going perfectly until I looked at the clock and realized I had missed my train." That pause creates suspense, which makes your story engaging. Contrast also helps. For instance, "I thought the meeting would be boring, but it turned out to be fascinating." Try repeating with me, "I thought it would be boring, but it turned out to be fascinating." Storytelling with suspense and contrast keeps your listener hooked, which is a sign of fluency at an advanced level. A huge challenge for learners at this level is thinking fast. Your brain knows the words, but hesitation slows you down. One exercise to fix this is timed speaking. Set a timer for 1 minute and talk about any topic without stopping. It doesn't matter if you repeat words or make small mistakes. Just keep going. This trains your brain to produce English under pressure. Then, as you get better, increase to 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Over to you. Your brain learns to stay in English mode without freezing. This is how you break the habit of hesitation. Confidence plays a big role here. Remember, advanced fluency is not about perfect grammar every time. It's about flow and confidence. Think of native speakers. They make mistakes too, but they don't stop. They correct themselves quickly or simply continue. You can practice this by deliberately making small mistakes and correcting yourself out loud. For example, she goes to school every day. This shows self-correction while keeping the flow. Listeners don't mind corrections. They mind long silences. Keep the flow alive, and your fluency will shine. Finally, let's reflect on mindset. Many learners hold themselves back because they fear judgment, but fluency comes from taking risks. Speak even if you're unsure. Use new words even if you're not confident. Every mistake you make is progress because it teaches you what feels right and what doesn't. Fluency is built through courage, not through silence. The more you practice with this mindset, the faster you'll reach the level of freedom where English feels natural and effortless. So, we've looked at conversation extension, idioms, agreement strategies, advanced listening, expansion drills, register, collocations, storytelling with suspense, timed speaking, and mindset. Each of these techniques is a step further into advanced fluency. Practice them daily, not all at once, but in small, consistent sessions. With time, you'll notice your English transforming into something natural, flexible, and deeply expressive. At this stage, let's focus on one of the most advanced aspects of fluency: persuasion. Fluency isn't only about sharing information. It's also about influencing, convincing, and inspiring. If you can persuade in English, you are operating at a very high level of mastery. Persuasion requires 3 elements: clear structure, strong vocabulary, and emotional appeal. Let's look at an example. Imagine you are trying to convince someone to start exercising. A basic version might be, "Exercise is good for you. You should try it." But an advanced persuasive version could be, "From my perspective, exercise is not just about staying fit. It's about building energy and confidence in your daily life. In fact, even a short walk every day can reduce stress and help you feel more positive. Why not give it a try for just 1 week and see how you feel?" Notice the connectors, the appeal to emotion, and the clear call to action. That's persuasive fluency. Let's practice persuasion with another example. The topic is learning English daily. Basic. Practice every day. It helps. Advanced. As far as I'm concerned, daily English practice is the single most powerful way to accelerate fluency. Even 10 minutes a day builds momentum, and before you know it, you'll notice your confidence growing. So instead of waiting for the perfect time, start today and let each small step move you closer to your goal. Try repeating this with me slowly, feeling the rhythm of persuasion. As far as I'm concerned, daily English practice is the single most powerful way to accelerate fluency. Again, even 10 minutes a day builds momentum, and before you know it, you'll notice your confidence growing. This kind of persuasive language is a hallmark of advanced speakers. Another critical skill for advanced fluency is debating. In debates, you must express opinions clearly, respond quickly, and challenge ideas politely. The key is to use logical connectors like "first of all," "secondly," "on the other hand," "let me counter that point," and "the evidence suggests." Imagine someone says, "Technology is harmful because it makes people lazy." A fluent response could be, "I see your point, but I'd argue that technology, when used wisely, actually increases productivity. For example, online learning platforms allow millions of people to study from anywhere, which was impossible before. Notice how the response is polite but firm, with reasoning and an example. Practicing mini debates, even with yourself, can sharpen your fluency immensely. Let's talk about advanced pronunciation. At this level, your goal is not just clarity, but also natural flow. One technique is connected speech, when native speakers link words together. For example, instead of saying, "I want to," clearly separating each word, natives often say, "I wanna." Instead of next day, they may say, "next day." Instead of did you, they say, "didja." These connections are natural in fast speech, and if you can both recognize and use them, you'll sound much more fluent. Let's try. Repeat. Did you eat? Natural. Didja eat? Repeat again. I'm going to go. Natural. I'm gonna go. These small changes make your speech smoother and more authentic. Another powerful tool is emphasis. Advanced speakers use emphasis to highlight what matters. For instance, compare. I didn't say he stole the money. This sentence changes meaning depending on which word you emphasize. If you stress I, it means someone else might have said it, but not you. If you stress say, it means you might have implied it, but not said it. If you stress he, it means maybe someone else stole it. By eyeing with emphasis, you control the nuance of meaning. Let's try together. Repeat. I didn't say he stole the money. Now shift. I didn't say he stole the money. Again. I didn't say he stole the money. Each version has a different meaning, even though the words are identical. This is advanced fluency in action. Fluency also involves expressing subtle emotions. At an advanced level, you don't just say, "I'm happy" or "I'm sad." You capture the fine shades in between. For instance, instead of "I'm happy," you might say, "I'm relieved," "I'm content," "I'm overjoyed," or "I'm pleasantly surprised." Instead of "I'm sad," you might say, "I'm disappointed," "I'm heartbroken," or "I'm feeling low." Each phrase paints a different emotional picture. Try these with me. I was relieved when I heard the news. She was pleasantly surprised by the gift. He was heartbroken after the loss. This emotional precision is what makes advanced English powerful and human. Another way to develop fluency is through role play. Role play means practicing imaginary situations as if they were real. For example, pretend you're at a job interview. Question: tell me about yourself. A basic answer might be, I'm from Spain. I study business. But an advanced answer could be, well, to be honest, I'd describe myself as someone who's passionate about learning and problem solving. I studied business because I've always been interested in how companies grow, and I enjoy working with people to create solutions. In fact, during my last internship, I had the chance to lead a small project, and it showed me how much I enjoy responsibility. This role-play style not only practices fluency, but also prepares you for real-life challenges. Now, let's go deeper into spontaneity. Spontaneity is the ability to respond naturally without preparation. One great exercise is improvised speaking. Choose a random object around you, like a pen, and talk about it for 1 minute. This pen is small, but it's essential for my daily work. In fact, sometimes I feel ideas don't become real until I write them down. It may seem simple, but it's one of the most powerful tools for creativity. By forcing yourself to keep speaking, you practice thinking in English on the spot. This trains your brain to stay flexible and quick, which is the essence of advanced fluency. Advanced fluency also requires handling complex topics. At lower levels, you talk about daily life. At advanced levels, you must explain abstract ideas like culture, philosophy, technology, or emotions. For example, try speaking about success. Basic. Success is when you do well. Advanced. Success, in my view, is deeply personal. For some, it means achieving career goals. For others, it means having balance and peace in life. In fact, I'd argue that true success comes from aligning your actions with your values. Notice the complexity and nuance. Practice by taking one abstract word each day, like happiness, freedom, or technology, and speaking about it in detail. This expands your fluency far beyond basic conversation. We should also highlight fluency in professional settings. Business English often requires clarity, politeness, and precision. For example, instead of saying, "Send me the file," you can say, "Could you please send me the file when you have a moment?" Instead of saying, "I don't understand," you can say, "Could you clarify that point for me?" Instead of saying, "That's wrong," you can say, "I'm not sure that's accurate. Perhaps we should review it again." These subtle differences make you sound professional, respectful, and fluent in FAO or MAL contexts. Repeat with me. Could you clarify that point for me? I'm not sure that's accurate. Perhaps we should review it again. Practicing these professional phrases prepares you for real success in the workplace. Let's also focus on building fluency through storytelling with dialogue. When you retell a story, include not just events, but also the words people said. For example, I walked into the shop, and the cashier smiled and said, "Good morning, how are you today?" I replied, "I'm fine, thank you, and how are you?" She laughed and said, "Busy, but that's normal for a Monday." By practicing dialogue inside your stories, you train yourself to handle real conversation flow. Try creating small stories from your own experiences and include voices, emotions, and reactions. This kind of practice makes your fluency lively and authentic. At this stage, you might feel the progress becoming smoother. You already know vocabulary and grammar. The key now is expression, nuance, and flexibility. Every time you practice, focus on one skill: persuasion, debating, pronunciation, emotion, role play, spontaneity, abstract topics, professionalism, or storytelling with dialogue. Rotate these skills in your practice routine, and you'll see how they build on each other. Advanced fluency is not about one big trick. It's about mastering many small techniques and weaving them together naturally. And here's a final reminder in this section. Don't pressure yourself to sound perfect. The most advanced speakers make mistakes, laugh about them, and move on. What makes them fluent is their ability to keep going, to stay connected, and to communicate meaning clearly and confidently. That is the true goal of this masterclass, and it's what you should keep in mind every time you practice. Another essential layer of advanced fluency is subtlety. Subtlety means expressing things indirectly, with hints, tones, and implied meaning. Native speakers do this all the time, and it makes conversations richer. For example, instead of saying directly, "I don't like the food," someone might say, "It's interesting. Not exactly my taste, though." Or instead of saying, "I'm very tired," you might say, "It's been a long day, hasn't it?" These indirect forms soften the message and show sensitivity. To practice subtlety, try taking a direct statement and rephrasing it in a softer or more polite way. Direct: "I can't help you." Subtle: "I'd love to help, but I'm afraid I don't have the time right now." Direct: "That idea is bad." Subtle: "I'm not sure that idea will work as well as we hope." Subtlety makes you sound natural and emotionally intelligent. Another dimension is metaphorical thinking. Advanced speakers use metaphors to explain complex ideas. A metaphor compares one idea to another, making the meaning clearer and more vivid. For example, instead of saying, "Life is difficult," you might say, "Life is a marathon, not a sprint." Instead of saying, "Learning English takes time," you could say, "Learning English is like planting a tree. It grows slowly, but every day it becomes stronger." Metaphors are powerful because they paint pictures in the listener's mind. Try creating your own. Take a topic like success and compare it to something. Success is like climbing a mountain. It requires effort, but the view from the top is worth it. This kind of expressive language shows advanced fluency and creativity. Let's also explore advanced questioning. At a basic level, questions are simple. Where are you from? What do you do? Do you like it? At an advanced level, questions become deeper, open-ended, and reflective. For example, how has living in this city shaped your perspective? What challenges have taught you the most in your career? If you could change one thing about education, what would it be? These kinds of questions spark meaningful conversations and show that you can guide dialogue, not just follow it. Fluency means not only answering, but also asking great questions. Another advanced fluency practice is reformulation. Reformulation means repeating someone's idea in your own words, often to confirm or to show understanding. For example, if someone says, "I had a tough week at work," you can respond, "So you're saying the week was stressful for you." Or if someone says, "I don't like online classes because they feel impersonal," you can say, "I see. You feel they lack a personal connection." This technique makes conversations smoother and proves that you are fully engaged. It also gives you a chance to practice paraphrasing in real time. Now, let's move to persuasive storytelling. We've already talked about storytelling, but persuasive storytelling is different. It's when you use a personal story to support your argument. For example, imagine someone is afraid of practicing English in public. You could say, "I used to feel exactly the same way. I remember sitting in a cafe, too nervous to order in English. But then one day I decided to try. I spoke slowly, the waiter understood me, and I felt amazing afterward. From that moment, I realized the only way to grow is to take risks. This personal story convinces more strongly than just saying, "Don't be afraid." Fluency means being able to share experiences naturally to inspire others. Another advanced area is handling interruptions. In real conversations, people often cut in, overlap, or jump ahead. Advanced speakers know how to handle this gracefully. For example, if someone interrupts you, you can say, "Just to finish my point," or "If I may continue for a moment." If you want to interrupt politely, you can say, "Sorry to jump in, but," or "Can I add something here?" These phrases allow you to manage the flow of conversation without sounding rude. Try repeating them after me. "Just to finish my point. Sorry to jump in, but can I add something here?" Practicing these helps you stay confident even in fast-moving discussions. Another skill is managing disagreements without conflict. Fluency doesn't mean always agreeing. It means handling disagreement with tact. For example, instead of saying, "That's wrong," you can say, "I see it differently." Instead of saying, "You're mistaken," you can say, "I think there may be another way to look at it." These soft disagreement strategies allow you to protect relationships while still expressing your view. Repeat with me. "I see it differently." "There may be another way to look at it." That's one perspective, though I'd argue another point. These expressions make you sound diplomatic and confident. Let's also discuss emotional fluency, the ability to comfort, encourage, or motivate in English. For example, if a friend is nervous before a presentation, you could say, "You've prepared so well. I know you'll do great." If someone is feeling down, you could say, "I'm sorry you're going through this. I'm here for you." If someone achieved something, you could say, "Congratulations, you truly deserve it." Emotional fluency connects language to human relationships. It makes your English warm, real, and supportive. Practice imagining different emotional situations and what you would say in English. This will prepare you for real-life interactions. Another important feature of advanced fluency is humor through wordplay. We've talked about humor before, but now let's focus on playing with language itself. For example, puns are jokes that rely on double meanings. "I'm reading a book on anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down." Or, "Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything." These kinds of jokes show not only fluency, but also creativity in English. You don't need to use them all the time, but sprinkling in wordplay shows that you understand English deeply enough to bend it for fun. Let's try a mini fluency challenge together. I'll give you a random topic, and you'll try to speak for 1 minute about it. The topic is travel. Start with an opinion. In my view, travel is one of the best ways to grow as a person. Add detail. For example, when I traveled to another country, I experienced new food, culture, and traditions that opened my mind. Add emotion. Honestly, I felt alive and inspired by the adventure. End with reflection. Overall, I'd argue that travel is more than just visiting places. It's about discovering yourself. Pause the lesson and try to say this aloud in your own words. Practicing small speeches like this builds advanced fluency quickly. Another valuable strategy is speed control. Many learners think fluency means speaking fast, but true fluency means knowing when to slow down and when to speed up. For example, when telling an exciting story, you might speed up to build energy. We ran through the streets, laughing, trying to catch the last train. But when making an important point, you slow down for emphasis. The truth is, practice every single day is the key to fluency. Controlling speed creates impact and shows confidence. Try practicing the same sentence fast, then slow, and notice how the feeling changes. Let's not forget about advanced listening reactions. Instead of only saying, "Really?" or "Wow," you can use more varied responses like, "That must have been exciting." "I can imagine how stressful that was." Or, "What an amazing experience." These responses show empathy and understanding, making you a better conversational partner. Fluency is not just about speaking, it's about creating a flow between you and the listener. Finally, let's talk about mastery through consistency. Every advanced skill we've explored, subtlety, metaphors, questioning, reformulation, persuasive storytelling, handling interruptions, emotional fluency, humor, speed control, these don't develop in one day. They grow through consistent practice. 10 or 15 minutes of focused training every day will take you further than hours of random study once in a while. Fluency is like fitness. Small, regular exercises build strong muscles over time. In the same way, small, regular language practices build a fluent mind and tongue. Commit to daily practice, even short sessions, and the progress will surprise you. At this point, reflect on how far you've come. From rhythm and connectors to persuasion and subtlety, you are building a complete toolkit for advanced fluency. You are no longer learning just words. You are learning how to express life, thought, and feeling in English. That's the essence of true mastery. At this point in our masterclass, it's important to reflect on the role of authenticity in fluency. Authentic fluency means sounding like yourself, not like someone else. Many learners try to copy every detail of native speakers, but advanced fluency is about expressing your unique ideas, personality, and emotions in English. Think of English not as a mask, but as an instrument that lets you share who you are with the world. The words, rhythm, and style may be borrowed, but the voice is always yours. When you embrace this, your English becomes alive and natural. One way to build authenticity is to create personal phrases you use often. In your native language, you probably have expressions you say all the time, like, "to be honest," or "that reminds me." Adopt similar habits in English, and they will become part of your identity. For example, if you often say, "Let me think about that," or "That's fascinating," or "I guess you could say," these become your signature style. Fluency is not about sounding like everyone else. It's about sounding comfortably like yourself. Another final layer of advanced fluency is adaptability. Fluency is not fixed. The way you speak should change depending on your listener. With close friends, you may use casual expressions and humor. With a teacher, you might speak respectfully. In a presentation, you would sound more formal and structured. Advanced speakers can slide between these modes effortlessly. Practice this by taking one idea and expressing it 3 ways: casual, neutral, and formal. For example, casual: I'm starving, let's grab some food. Neutral: I'm really hungry, let's get something to eat. Formal: I haven't had lunch yet. Would you like to eat together? This flexibility is a clear sign of mastery. Another advanced technique is rhetorical questions. These are questions you ask not to get an answer, but to make a point. For example, who doesn't want to feel confident when they speak? Or, isn't it amazing how much progress you can make in just a few months of daily practice? These rhetorical questions engage listeners and add power to your speech. Try creating one now. Take any point you want to emphasize and turn it into a question that answers itself. This adds variety and depth to your fluency. Let's also talk about silence. At first, silence feels uncomfortable. But advanced speakers know how to use pauses effectively. A pause can create drama, give your listener time to think, or show that you are considering your words carefully. For example, in a story, you might say, I opened the letter, and I couldn't believe what I saw. That pause builds suspense. In persuasion, you might say, the truth is, fluency doesn't come from study alone. It comes from practice. That pause makes the point stronger. Don't fear silence. Embrace it as part of your fluency. To close our practice, let's do a powerful fluency exercise together. I will guide you through a short self-speech. Repeat with me and let the rhythm carry you. Fluency is not about being perfect. It's about being brave enough to speak. Every mistake I make is a step toward improvement. Every word I speak brings me closer to confidence. I am not just learning English. I am living in English. Say it again with conviction. I am not just learning English. I am living in English. This mindset turns practice into passion, and passion into mastery. As we near the end of this masterclass, I want to remind you of the skills you've built today. You've learned to use rhythm, connectors, and collocations. You've practiced idioms, paraphrasing, and reformulation. You've discovered how to persuade, debate, and tell stories with detail, emotion, and suspense. You've learned to control intonation, emphasis, speed, and silence. You've practiced subtlety, humor, questioning, and emotional fluency. And most importantly, you've learned that fluency is about connection, not perfection. Take these lessons with you and keep practicing them daily. Speak out loud, shadow real English, record yourself, and push yourself to think quickly. Don't just practice the easy things. Challenge yourself with abstract ideas, persuasive arguments, professional phrases, and emotional expressions. Every time you push your limits, your fluency grows stronger. And remember, the goal is not just to speak English. It's to express yourself fully, confidently, and authentically. I want you to feel proud of yourself right now. Spending this hour with me shows your dedication, and dedication always leads to results. Fluency doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen with persistence. If you keep going, day by day, you will reach the point where English flows through you naturally, without hesitation. And when that happens, you'll realize how powerful it feels to share your thoughts freely in another language. So as we finish, let me thank you warmly. Thank you for joining me in this Advanced English Fluency Masterclass. I truly believe that if you keep practicing with focus and courage, your English will transform and you will feel the freedom of true fluency. Stay confident, stay curious, and keep going. You're closer to your goal than you think. And finally, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss future lessons. Your journey doesn't end here. It continues with every word you speak, every story you tell, and every connection you make in English. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next lesson.